Gentlemen, may I have your attention, please? The show starts in 5, 4, 3, 2, 1.
So, welcome back to another podcast with me, Mac, and Jake. How are you doing this week, Jake?
I'm doing fine. Took the bike out the other day.
Which one?
Oh, my F4 is this nice summer day, like a Indian summer. It went up to 65 degrees here.
All right.
It was a little wet. There was a lot of bikes out. Blew them all away.
That's nice.
I was smoking them.
Yeah, nice.
Everybody, they were lost.
Yes.
Everybody's like, what the hell happened?
I've actually heard, if for people to know, Jake did ring me on WhatsApp when starting the bike, and it does sound pretty crisp. I will.
Should.
I will admit, but it's been one of those weeks, Jake. There's lots going on in the whole MotoGP world, hasn't it?
Surprisingly, it's usually a dead zone this time of year.
Yeah. First couple of weeks of January, like we're less than a month away now, from Sepang test. 5th of February is Sepang test. So.
Oh, and Matt,
yeah.
When did they start the GP 22 engine, 22 and a half engine? Just so people don't think I'm going nuts, it was 3 days before they started.
Yeah, so they homologated the engine the night before the test, so it was put together. Very
so how? I mean, when people think we're Ducati driven, how much of a screw up was that? I saw that. That's how I remembered it so well. So I went. How can they figure that out? Like.
So they test. So like just to be very, very clear on this, right? In Sepang and Mandalika, they tested different variations of the engine.
Right, but not the 22 and a half.
No, but you see, that was what the variations of the engines that they were testing. So, for example, they were testing the 22.
Right.
But the 22 with a change, but that wasn't the exact change that went into the 22.5. So the problem that Pecco was having was that the drive off the 22 was too hard. All right, so it was too aggressive. So they had to find a way to change that. So they looked at the exhaust. So they moved back to the 2021 exhaust. It did help, but it didn't help enough. So then they had to change something internally and take something from a 21 engine and put it onto the 22. So
they said no two parts were the same in all three engines. For everybody, that's another thing when people think that with the 8 bikes, they had this big advantage.
Technically, yeah. Like, look, I would believe the bottom end was completely the same, but I would think that the top.
I would think too. Yeah.
Yeah, the top end of each engine was different, and look, it was all about smoothing out the aggressiveness of the engine so that they could accelerate out on the 22.5. So, look, like it is right that they didn't test that configuration, but they were testing the parts through the Sepang test and the Mandalika test. So, but the final configuration, but that would be very normal anyway, Jake, because most people don't understand this. But you can test your engine and develop your engine to the night before Qatar.
Mm-hmm.
So the night before Qatar, you have to submit the paperwork and you have to submit your first engine and a reference engine to the FIM. That first engine then is sealed and that reference engine is used. So if you remember back to the Yamaha valves remember issue, how they were actually caught was that the valves were slightly lighter.
Mm-hmm. And they had a different supplier.
A different supplier, yeah. Right. It was a different supplier, so they were slightly different. Right?
Oh, it was ridiculous.
When it does, and now look, this is not just limited to the FIM. I remember in go-kart racing, if an engine manufacturer made an engine that was a sealed engine, just say, the governing body would have a control engine that they would take the measurements from. Does that make sense? So like, if someone appealed your engine, they'd strip it down, and they would reference that versus the drawings or whatever, and away they go. So look, yeah, look, it was a complete mess. Turned out right for Ducati. Let's be fair.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? It was the right decision, even though that it did cost them. But I think look. I think it's really, really interesting. I don't think they're going to make that mistake again.
No. That was an idiotic thing.
It's just one of those weird and stupid rules within MotoGP that, like, each manufacturer. So, like.
But if they had open testing, they wouldn't have that problem because they had it straightened out before that.
No, that was not the problem. The problem was that Pecco wanted one engine.
Yeah, I realize that. Yeah,
but because Pecco wanted that engine, Jack had to take that engine too.
Mm-hmm.
So, like, the factory team had to have the same engine.
Yep.
Do you know what I mean?
Yeah.
So,
speaking of F1, by the way, this has a bit of relevance in MotoGP that Honda is staying with F1. They're making F1 engines. Still, remember they were going to bail out, and now they're not.
Yeah, there's talk about them coming back in as an engine manufacturer for 2026. Yeah. And they're still making engines for Red Bull, if I'm not mistaken. They're not doing the development because the engines are now frozen for the next 2 years. But all they're doing is they're keeping the engines going, as in maintenance.
Okay.
Than anything. Now, look, I'm sure. And look, this is where Ducati are really, really good too, right? In the way of what they did with Pecco, and I can understand their risk. If your engine is frozen, right, then you can do it two ways. You can stay safe, like Yamaha did, or you can go a little bit edgy and dangerous, right? So you can create an engine that blows up, right?
Like Suzuki did.
Yeah, but what will happen is that if you turn around to the FIM and say, and even in Formula One, right, we have an engine issue, and the issue is caused by this. You can make that reliable because it's. Do you get me? So you can develop your engine within the codes there. So I find it very interesting, and that's what Ferrari Formula One have done this year. Their engines this year kept blowing up and whatever, but what they've just done is, because the engines are frozen till 2026, right? Or till the end of 25. They can go and develop that now to make that fast engine, or the super fast engine, reliable.
Yeah.
Rather than a pig of an engine.
Yeah, so Yamaha's going to have to actually blow the engines up before they come in and say, we can do it. We want to do something with it. But they're at a dead end with the inline four. So that's kind of that's not an engineering entity anymore. It's a physics problem.
Yeah, look. There's a whole lot going on there for Yamaha. Let's be very, very honest. I think the team is in a bit of disarray as well. Like, I was reading there during the week, Crash were saying that Yamaha need a fast test rider, right? And I'm like, they have one. And so they're like, oh, they need a Michele Pirro. And I was like, 1 second, I was like, Crutchlow was as fast as the slowest factory rider, right?
Yeah.
Let's be fair, right? And Pirro is nowhere near as close as Zarco or Martin or Pecco or Jacko.
Right.
So I was like, where the fuck are you getting that from? Do you know what I mean? Now, it's not a problem. Crutchlow is not. It's not the problem. It is a philosophy. It's an issue. It's a spending issue in my view, right?
It's a spending issue. But they try to hold out to make it cheap.
I have reached out to a guy called Tom O'Kane.
Ah, yes.
So he's ex-Suzuki. He's gone into Yamaha now. I doubt he will ever answer us anything on Yamaha.
Yeah.
Right, but maybe we could have a chat with him about Suzuki issues and stuff like that. But look, I think for Yamaha, I'm a massive Yamaha fan. It pains me every month and week to even talk about, and like going into this season, probably my most deflated season going into it. Do you know what I mean?
But you're not a delirious fan.
But I still hurts.
Delirious fans go, "Oh, they were good." It's like the guy with the Honda saying that they were the previous RCV 213 was good. The previous RC 13 from 213 up to 2020, whatever, was so bad. When the new one came out, you thought it has to be better than the last one. Unfortunately, it wasn't.
And I just think that it's just for me. It just pains me just to see one Yamaha doing okay and the rest fucking down the back, like speed. So hopefully, look, they'll understand it and work on their drivability, even at like Crutchlow said, and Simon confirmed it. Is like Crutchlow said that just coming out of the corner is just so aggressive that they can't put the power down properly. Like, do you know what I mean? And it's just it just breaks traction. Then they're gone. Then the tires heating up and game up.
You know what that could be, buddy? You know what that could be? To get that extra power out for the inline four, they might be going from the cross plane crank to the flat plane crank. You get more power out of a flat plane crank.
They could. Look, I think
inline than a cross plane.
I don't want to sound like a fucking Rossi fan or whatever, but like Rossi really
and it's smoother too, so it helps with the reliability.
Yeah, Rossi said the electronics from 2016 on really impacted Yamaha as well. So I think there's a whole, and like that's why I don't think it's the inline four is the problem. I think it's like their chassis is good, but their electronics aren't the best either. Do you know what I mean? And like if they can't get the power down properly, and
why I say it's a physics problem is because even in the automotive world, there was always that rule of thumb of 300 horsepower. The inline engines, because they're phased out in cars, was 300 horsepower per liter. Was this part where you went, oh no, you had to go to a V.
Look, and I'm not doubting that, but look, if I was to look at Yamaha, right, straight line speed, they never had it, right. So let's take that out of the equation, down the chute, right.
Right.
But they've lost their advantage in the corners compared to what they have. They still have a advantage, but not what they had, right?
Yeah.
And that's going into corners, out of corners, do you know what I mean, through corners. And a lot of that is to do with chassis, but also the electronics controlling what's going on in the bike. Do you know what I mean? Settling the bike down. Do you know what I mean? Being able to drive the bike out of the corner.
Right.
They can't seem to do it without overheating their rear fucking tires. Like, do you know what I mean?
Also, with the difference between the inline four and the smaller crank V4 is that when you have that heavy inertia from the inline four, when you do long sweeping corners and you have high RPM, it starts to push that bike out. That's why Ducati was always faster in a long sweeping corner, but they were slower in the tight corners, tight slow corners. But then when Ducati got the tight slow corners down, also, then Yamaha was in deep trouble.
Yeah, exactly. And look, that's what it is. It's like the amount that they've gone backwards, not just in the inline four, right? Like take the inline four out of it, is like they're being caught all over the track now, rather than just on the straight.
Yeah.
But look, saying that, I suppose we get on to one of the ones. The statement from Mir that's still like that, like I don't know, man. Like, look, I probably think I'm a better racer than I was, right?
Right.
And I think that's just a natural racer thing that like I never lined up next to me, or if I lined up next to me and someone was to beat me, it's probably in my head I put it that it's because of their equipment, right? Do you know what I mean? It's like. Let's look at it this year. It's like Pecco and Alex Marquez sitting next to each other. So Alex Marquez is on his Honda and Pecco. He knew Pecco had a better bike than him. Do you know what I mean? But he still believed he is as good or equal to Pecco as a rider.
He thought, I'm going to outride him.
Yeah, exactly, right? Now, yes, there is being nice and being humble and, hi, welcome to the team, not wanting to make waves. But I would never fucking admit this to another rider that I'm competing against or with. Oh, yeah, he's the best.
I've been watching MotoGP, which Grand Prix for 40 years. You know what the job one was for every team? Beat your teammate.
Yeah.
Nobody even argued. It was just a given. It was rule
and
one.
Even if you can't beat him, you're close to him,
right?
And you never admit that he's better than you.
Yep.
He had a better race. He had a better this. Even when you see UFC fighters getting knocked the fuck out, right? Do you know what I mean? And they turn around and he was the better man on the night. Do you know what I mean? There's a very doesn't like, or even if you see a rider like Marquez do something and Jesus, that was amazing. I couldn't do that. Like, how did he control that?
Yeah.
That's fine. Do you know what I mean? He's not better than me. Do you know what I mean? He was just able to control something. Do you know? And like, for me, that's where I was looking at it, and it's like, and when I read it, actually, do you know what came into my mind was Jack Miller at Ducati. Like, is he already putting himself into a humble number 2?
Did he? I think he did. That's the way they.
And I guess, look, he's trying to be nice and humble, and I really do understand that, but I just think, do you know what I mean? Like, you have a tough challenge going up against Marc Marquez in Marc Marquez's team, right? Yeah. Fair enough. And look, Mir is a very smart guy, and I'm sure he understands the gravity of the task at hand, right? But you don't want to give Marquez more ammunition on you.
Right.
That would be my thought. Like, you know what I mean? Yeah. It's just like,
Marquez already has an ego the size of a mountain. Don't let him steamroll you.
Exactly, and that's where it is. Like, do you know what I mean? Because now, personally, this is just a personal thing. Anyone that watched GP Unlimited, right? Remember there was an issue between Marquez and Mir. And Mir went to, I think it was Al Zamora, and said, "Oh, tell Mark this, that, the other." And Al Zamora told him, "You better tell him yourself." Right? Yes. And the boy looked like he was going to shit himself. Do you know what I mean? And then he did talk to Mark, and everything was fine. But I somehow get a feeling, it's not that there's fear, but Mark already has the mental advantage over him. Do you know what I mean?
Yeah, that was a very odd statement. I can't remember anybody doing that. Ever.
Well, I can remember people doing it when they were retired. Do you know what I mean?
Oh, when you were retired, it's a whole different ballgame.
Do you know what I mean? There's no more competition. Do you know what I mean? Blah, 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 blah. And even at that stage, people will still say, you know, "Oh, he had the best bike." Yeah. Do you know what I mean? Like, a racer will never, ever, 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 ever want to admit that they are number 2. Like, Jack Miller, look at Jack. You know, he's still out there trying to do his thing. He changed his team. All right, they didn't give him the team that he wanted, didn't give him what he wanted, but also they were kind of shuffling it back. You know, so I think he doesn't want to go and be a number 2, but I'll do KTM teammate reviews during the week, so right. We'll keep that going. But I just thought it was very, very weird that that Mir would so early in the season without a fucking wheel turned on a Honda practically.
I think the Honda's going to chew up Mir and spit him out just like all the other second riders.
So my worry for Mir on the Honda is this. Mir needs the front end, and Honda doesn't have one, right? And you can see it with Suzuki. The front end disappeared during 2022, and it was crashing.
Well, that was but the horsepower was overriding the chassis. So I guess it's the same situation.
It is front end. You can't feel it. He does have a V4 riding style. I think he'll adapt better to it than Rins will earlier. And what I mean is that he'll get up to speed earlier. But I think, you know, I do worry that, and look, for the past teammates of Marc Marquez, Honda has been an absolute nearly career ender. I'd call it like that. You know what I mean?
Yeah, career killer.
If Paul Espargaro didn't have the relationship with KTM that he had, and KTM were not in dire need of established riders,
right?
He'd be in World Superbikes.
Yep.
That's long story short. Not saying Paul is a bad rider or a great rider.
No, he was a top tier rider. He really was.
Yeah, he was Honda's or Yamaha's next big thing. Do you know?
Yeah.
So, like, there was a lot of money put behind it, but I think, look, I just thought it was very, very interesting. And then Marquez, then of course, like I do think it's very funny, right? Mir's kind of playing into Marquez's mental game, right? And then Pecco and Marquez then is going looking at Pecco, and I think the funniest thing for me when I read what now Pecco was asked a direct question firstly, so he had to answer the question, right? You couldn't just say, "Shut up," you know what I mean, to the reporter, right? Because that would have been even worse again, right? But like Pecco was asked about it, and he said, "This is what Mark said. What do you think about this?" And I think Pecco handled it really well, personally, because he was the what Pecco was implying here was like, okay, you know, if we had the best bike on the grid, there were 7 other Ducatis. I finished as fast as Ducati, or best Ducati.
Mm-hmm.
Do you know what I mean? Where did all the rest of them finish? So why weren't they 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8?
Right.
Do you know what I mean? If it's the best bike, and that's the kind of line that I put it. I think Mark was just trying to, in my view, try to get into Pecco's head to say, "You're there because I wasn't there." Do you know what I mean? And and this
that was, I think it was his ego talking.
Look, it was ego. Look. Some of the stuff he was saying was very truthful. Do you know what I mean? Fabio had a good season, and then Pecco ate him up once they got the bike sorted. That is true, but Pecco was 91 points behind.
Right, exactly.
So he couldn't fucking stay on the thing the first half of the season. Do you know what I mean? And he copped himself on, and he pulled his finger out, and he could have just said, "Yeah, Fabio did brilliantly, Pecco did brilliantly, move on." But you know what I mean? There was an underlying dig there, I think, from Marquez. But then when I was reading it, I was just like, Marquez, like, you so much more to fucking worry about now than what Pecco.
Oh yeah, you ain't kidding. Yeah, and he's getting it's getting under his skin. It's getting under Marquez's skin that people think he can win on anything. The old Chinese scooter syndrome. They're like, oh, if he's fine, if he's healthy, he can win on anything. And he's turning around saying, "But the bike's shit."
Yeah,
okay? And it's even more shit than the other one I had. Because don't forget, he was bitching about the bike last time. He said the bike was shit handled from day one, practically. You know.
Yeah.
And it was always been the worst bike in MotoGP. And like I said, then it got worse. Like we couldn't believe.
It has always been not the best, right? But in the last,
you're being nice.
No, but like even looking at the stats that we did in Honda, right? Do you know what I mean? They always had 2 riders within the top 6 or 7 in the end of the championship, right?
But they always had the very best riders. They always had the Marquez. They had the Pedrosa, the other alien. They had Casey Stoner. I mean, they had Mick Doohan.
But that's fine. Look, they still have the big checkbook. Right?
Yeah, they win by checkbook.
They can still buy the best riders in the world, right?
And they do that because they have to. It's not because they want to.
But the performance of the bike since whatever it was, 2019.
Yeah.
That gap has grown bigger, right?
I know. That was the shocker. It was like, it can't get any worse. Yeah.
It can't. And it just can't. Like, you know.
And that head shaking and tank slapping. Like, that's not supposed to happen in a MotoGP bike, you know?
Well, like, Joe, like, they're supposed to be right up to the cusp of that happening, but it's not actually supposed to happen. Do you know what I mean? So like they're
not on half speed anyway.
They're on the edge of adhesion everywhere, right? So, like, look, for me, I just like, Mark, you go back down there and sit down and fucking figure out what you need to do to get yourself back up there winning consistently. Like, let's not forget, right? Okay, he's back motocrossing and this, that, and the other. I think probably the worst thing that happened for Marquez was Phillip Island. Because Phillip Island, there was only 2 corners that he needed the arm. The rest of the track. So he could ride free. He could ride as if there was no issues or no problems. But we saw it then when he went to Sepang, he started to struggle.
Yeah.
Do you know what I mean? So, like, he still has a lot of fitness to do. And look, he's saying it openly, being fair, he is saying it openly that I'm not fit yet. I don't know the potential of where my arm is going to hit the limit.
Yeah, but he has said it's good. He says it's gotten so good, don't worry about it, though.
No, what he said is that I'm pain-free, but I'm not.
And here's one thing. Like, if you tear a rotator cuff or something like that, your body, if it's not in pain, okay, you don't have your body saying shut down, okay, you're okay. If he, like I said, if he doesn't have to put his arm up 90 degrees, okay, it can go up to 90. It goes to 80 degrees, okay, or he only has to go 50. It really isn't affecting him.
Yeah.
You know,
but as long as he can move it in the way that he needs to on the bike, and he's
exactly
what he's saying is that he is not fully there yet on that, because he doesn't know the potential of what's the limit of the arm. He knows what he's used to.
I think he's using that as a scapegoat because he's tired of people saying he wins regardless of the situation, regardless of the bike. Yeah, he's like,
I just think he has an awful lot more to worry about than Pecco or Fabio at the moment.
Oh, you're kidding. Yeah. I mean,
personally, I think
it's going nowhere. They've worked on that bike so long. It's not like Yamaha. Yamaha had more faith to get something done than Honda because...
I don't know. I'm actually thinking, being very honest, as a Yamaha fan, I'm seeing Honda try.
Yeah.
I see fucking nothing from Yamaha. Absolutely.
I think Yamaha just, it's not that they're stopped trying. I think that they just realized, because they've been working on this thing for years now, this inline four. And I think they know it's a dead end issue. They know it's a physics issue, not an engineering. They're saying, I don't care I said it before, I don't care if the best F1 engineers in the world are working on it. They're going to turn around and say, the crank's too big. What can you do?
It was actually very funny. I was chatting with Sleepwalker on WhatsApp during the week, and he's like, "Oh, did you see the video about Yamaha engines on MotoGP.com?" And I was like, "I did." And he's like, "Could you get any more on the fucking fence?" Do you know what I mean? It's like, will he just get off the fence and say, "Yes, we're doing it," or "No, we're not"? Do you know what I mean?
No, we're not. It's a whole cover my ass deal.
And it was like to end it saying, like, we will definitely look at a B4 if we think it's thing, but right now we think we're on the right track. We think.
We hope. Yeah.
Hello.
We're almost definitely positive.
Yeah. Definitely, maybe, or almost nationwide. You know. Do you know what I mean? It's just like, but I think I just thought it was very straight, and it's probably Marquez trying to play mind games and whatever. And like, I understand in the way Mir as well was saying, Joe Mark is the best because he's won the most races and this, that, and the other. So who cares? Do you know what I mean? You're only as good as your last championship.
Yes.
Do you know what I mean? Rossi is a legend, but he didn't win anything since whatever it was, 2010, was it?
Yes.
29, 2009? I can't remember. Do you know what I mean? So it doesn't change his status, but it does, like, show results are results. Do you know what I mean? And like, if Marquez doesn't win another championship again, which I'm sure he would absolutely hate, you know, it says what it does. But the other thing came out during the week, and just so people know, I actually recorded the video about Martin going to Yamaha about 27 hours before I released it. So I actually got one of the first scoops on that, but I had already released. I had just released the other video, so I didn't want to release that one. And then other news agents came to it, so I actually got one of the scoops on that one.
Yeah, I know you did. I know.
Yeah. So I can see it happening though.
Yeah.
You know, and like,
because he hasn't sounded like a happy camper from Martin hasn't sounded like a happy camper from this. The moment they even somewhat before they were going to make that, let's put it this way, when they said they were going to have a decision between the two riders, he didn't even like that. He thought he had that in his pocket already.
He was told he had it. Yeah. And listen, look, it's how'd you call it? Like, it's like the X syndrome. Do you know what I mean? Like, yes, you can have factory equipment, you can have absolutely everything that he has, but you're not getting a 2-year deal. You're getting a 1-year deal. You know, some wanted you in it, some didn't want you in it, and And as strong and tough as MotoGP riders are, they're also very, very fickle, right?
Yeah.
And if you don't believe in me 110%, then I'm not going to commit to you. And if I'm not going to commit to you, then I'm not going to ride for you, Joe, at my best. I'm going to go to a team that want me there, even though that the bike might not be there now at the moment.
Mhm.
You know, they have good plans. They put me front and center of their whole development, rock their
That's right.
world.
I'm front and center. That's they
Yeah,
like.
do you know what I mean? Stroke my fucking ego, pay me a couple of
Yeah.
million euros.
Yes.
You know,
What do they call Marquez, the captain of the team?
oh no, that's Alicia Spagaro, El Capitan.
No, what's the other one? They call Marquez something too, like the foreman or the king or some ridiculous bullshit for some made up thing just to stroke his ego. And
yeah, look, that's what it is. Like riders, like even
he does pep talks for the team. Can you imagine they're sitting there like all these engineers going, "This kid doesn't know his ass from a hole in the ground. What are you talking about? He knows nothing about engineering."
Win bike win.
Bike win. Yeah,
that's it. Yeah,
I go like this and the bike starts to chatter. That's not engineering, folks. Yeah.
But look, it's look, I just think I think it could happen. Like Ducati,
it could fit.
I actually think Marc Marquez is going to be the linchpin of a whole lot of rider moves at the end of 2024.
Oh, yeah, that would really shake everything up.
Because I just find it very funny. I was talking about Mark moving to Pramac. Do you know what I mean?
Yeah.
next week this comes out. Do you know what I mean? You're like,
ooh, yeah.
Do you know what I mean? Honda might need a Spanish rider, or Yamaha might need a Spanish rider. Now, if Morbidelli flops this year, right, then Yamaha are going to need someone in the factory team, right? How would Martina and Fabio get on? I think they'd be all right. You know what I mean? I think Fabio's way off different than Martin. Martin's a bit of a party animal, young, dumb, and full of
right.
You know what I mean? And just spending money, living life.
I remember those days like it was yesterday.
Looking at his socials, he's out partying. Do you know what I mean? The summer break, 1 month ago. Do you know what I mean? You look at Vinales, El Capitan, Mark. All of these boys are back on their bike training. Do you know what I mean? Your man's over in Indonesia living it up. Do you know what I mean?
It's like a smorgasbord. All the umbrella girls you can eat.
That's it. Yeah, and look, he's fucking right too. Like Pecco's where's Pecco? Pecco's in Bali or somewhere at the moment with the missus. So, or wherever, I can't remember.
It's like that old joke used to say, "Hey, don't throw away that moldy bread. I got a date tonight." We said that saying. Hey, don't throw away. I got that.
So yeah, so I just think, I think it could happen. I think there's a lot of variables though for us. Like Morbidelli has to flunk. Do you know what I mean? Martin is not going to go to a satellite Yamaha team. Do you know what I mean? It's works or nothing now. Do you know what I mean?
Yeah.
I just thought it was quite I suppose weird and interesting though how he
The only thing I worry about with Martin is he fades, and he fades a lot at the end of a race. Not just a little. It's not the normal amount of fade because of tire wear or being tired itself, of exhaustion. He goes like off a cliff. Like I said, not just the tire wear.
He could, look, I think he's still very
I wonder
young.
if it's that wrist.
I think he's still very young. I genuinely he does he's incredibly talented.
Oh yeah.
But he hasn't matured from his rookie year. Is the way I would class it. Do you know what I mean? His first rookie year, he was really, really good, but he hasn't made that mainstream change. If that makes sense, like he hasn't matured into like this is going to be his third year, I think, in MotoGP.
Right. Yeah.
You know what I mean? So I expect a really different rider out of him. Do you know what I mean? Calm, cool, collected, understanding what he needs to do. Whereas what we kind of saw from take the wrist injury out of it, but the mistakes he was making last year, they were still rookie level. Do you know what I mean? In my opinion.
Right.
So
True.
So it will be interesting to see what
Last year Acosta was the biggest shakeup for me. I thought he was going to rock and roll all the way to MotoGP without trouble.
I think most of the paddock thought that. You know what I mean? Like he was fastest in the tests the start of the year, and everyone was like, he's checked out.
Yeah.
Do you know what I mean? Give him the title right now. Do you know what I mean? Like we would give like Augusto Fernandez the rookie of the year title. Do you know what I mean? He's already won. Do you know what I mean? Don't even need to compete, and look, it didn't turn out for him. But I think that was a brilliant lesson for him. Do you know, a brilliant lesson.
I think it was good for him. Yes,
an early life lesson. You know, rather than like being rocking up and winning Moto 3, Moto 2 easily, and getting into MotoGP and saying, this is another kind of piss altogether. Like, do you know what I mean?
Yeah.
So I think it's humbled him, and I think that'll be good for him down through the years. But talking about teammates, you know, Alex Marquez and Digi Antonio, I think that's going to be for me. It's a fascinating because they both need to have a good year, right? First and foremost. Now, if I look at like DJ for me, he was very understated this year, but he did a very good job as a rookie. He was just unlucky that Bezzecchi was there.
I don't know. I didn't see the results the same as you did. I keep seeing him in 12, 13. He had that one run in Misano. Is it Misano?
Mugello.
Yeah.
Mugello. Pole position.
yeah. Like he lived they said he practically lived there his whole career since he was a kid, doing laps there. I mean, so that can be discounted. And he's on the best machine.
Mm-hmm.
Where was he? I didn't see razzle dazzle. I didn't see the cameras on him. I didn't see the speed.
But like,
and he's the right size too. I mean,
but like if you look at it, like Remy Gardner,
I wanted to see a couple flashes of brilliance.
But I think the camera needs to be on him to see that, though. Do you know what I mean? Being honest, right? And like, if you look at it, right, let's be fair, right? If we were to look at the factory teams first, right? So you'd have the two Ducatis, right? Who supposedly had the two Hondas and the two Yamahas, right? So when you're starting off at the start of the season, where would you estimate this guy to be? And you would be putting him from 11th backwards, just say.
Yeah, right?
And that's where he was.
True.
So for me,
it throws you off because there's so many good riders we have out there.
Exactly. Look, he's within a second of the fastest riders on the grid, right? He was more consistent than fucking Yamaha riders, Honda riders. Jody, okay, yes, he was on the best bike, but he has no fucking idea what he's doing compared to the experience they have, right?
True.
Do you know what I mean?
True.
He's bringing the bike home majority of the time. Do you know what I mean? Now, I personally like Binder because I think Binder did what I expected Binder to do, was crash. You know, that's the type of racer he was or is. Yeah. Even in Moto 3, he'd fucking go for it and crash.
Right. I bombed him.
I bombed him.
Yeah.
Yeah. He can't qualify, but boy, can he fucking race. And he can, and he could race. And like, I look at it where, you know, DJ was a new rookie into the championship. You know, he was next to Bastianini, right? Do you know what I mean? Who had a great season as well. So so I'm sure there was a lot of correlation there. But I think he was just unlucky that Bezzecchi was there, that Bezzecchi actually overshadowed him. Remove Bezzecchi, and I guarantee you we would be talking about DJ. We wouldn't be talking about Raul Fernandez. We wouldn't be talking about Remy Gardner. We wouldn't be talking about Darren Binder. We'd be talking about DJ. But look, I think he has to though perform in 2023. You know, he has to bring that into the top 10 now. He has to start pushing it, and he'll have the bike. He'll have the equipment. You know, he has a 22. The question is the person across the thing from him, right? They now have lost they've lost a really good engineer from the team as well. So he's gone. Sebastianini's engineer has gone, I think, to KTM, actually, I think.
Yeah, KTM, yes.
So, there's going to be a bit of a challenge there. And this is where I think DJ could humble Alex Marquez in the first couple of races. Listen, I'm only talking here, if he can get 15, 20, 30 points ahead of him in the first 5 races, Alex will struggle to pull that back. Do you know what I mean?
I think that when you talk about mental angle of MotoGP, I think that Alex Marquez was going to want to beat his brother so bad, and he's so charged up that going from the Honda, the worst bike, the best bike, he is going to excel much more than people think. He's going to take that next step up.
Yeah, I think though it's going to take a couple of races to I think he's going to come out fully charged to beat Mark, and I think more so to beat Mark, to give the middle finger to Honda and say it's not me, it's you, right?
It's you, right?
And he's going to do well. I think where he will struggle at the start is getting used to that bike, and that's the dangerous gap. Is like, can he get everything he needs out of that bike to understand that bike for a race within the first 3 races? Do you know what I mean? Like, DJ has that, he knows what the Ducati is going to do in lap 16. Right? Whereas Alex, you can tell him what's going to happen. But it's different when you feel it under your arse. Do you know what I mean?
Yeah.
So
just like your first girl, it's supposed to happen.
Exactly.
But 2 years under your ass, you don't know what it is.
So that's where I think it's going to just take a little bit. And if DJ is in, just say DJ does perform into the top 8, right? Finishes in the top 8 3 or 4 times, and Alex finishes 10th, 12th, whatever, and he pulls a small gap. That would be a battle for the championship between the two. I can guarantee you that.
Yeah.
But it will be interesting. I think you're right. I think Alex will definitely hit the podium this year. I definitely believe he has that potential.
Yeah.
But I just think it'll be very, very interesting to see. The other teammates I want to talk about is VR46. I think this is a crucial year as well for Marini.
Yes, Marini, my son, I was right on par with you there. I didn't see much coming from Marini. I saw flashes a little bit. I just didn't see and I've always had a prejudice against bigger guys because it's always a physical problem. It's a physics problem. When you're going down, that extra 20 pounds turns into an extra 500 pounds of force. And I'm being very conservative when I say that coming into a corner.
Yes, I agree and I disagree with you, right? I agree with you, and you're right that about the forces and all of this. But if I'm a bigger, stronger guy, I can lift that bike easier than a small
but that's the thing. They're 140 pounds of muscle that the riders are. They are very much like prize fighters. For that 140 pounds, they're one tough son of a bitch at 140 pounds.
Oh, I know what I tell you, but if you're 160 pounds, just say, right? You can't of pure muscle.
Yeah, you're going to be tougher than
You're going to be tougher than
size matters,
and it genuinely does. And listen, look, I don't really want to get into rider weights things, right? But the reason I don't want to get into it, right, is because I have a very simple thing. If you want to moan and bitch and cry that you're heavier than this person, fuck off and ride a pedal bike.
Genuinely. Exactly. I say the same thing, and look at the size of me. I always knew it. I might win the boxing prize fight title, but I'm never going to be a motorcycle racer.
Yeah,
as much as I wanted to be.
Exactly.
Look, I could not break anybody.
It's so easy to get into the fight. Like I'll be honest, I did lose an awful lot of respect for Scott Redding when he started on Bautista. Now, I don't like Bautista either, right? But he was like, oh, he only won it because of his weight, right? And you're like, shut up, he won the fucking title.
The Japanese manufacturer fanboys which coming out of the woodwork with every goddamn excuse you could think of. Instead of Ducati just beat us because they're better engineers. But
yeah, look, you got beaten. Go lick your fucking wounds, build a bike, and come back and fight another day, right? And I think with Marini specifically, right? I think okay, he had the 22 last year that he had to get used to. All right, he needed a bit of time, as did Pramac, as did the main factory team, right? So let's just say we give him the advantage of small bit. He did get stronger towards the end of the year, but I think Bezzecchi took more highlights out of the year than him. Like if you thought about the championship over a whole, Bezzecchi was more the shining star in the team than Marini.
And Bezzecchi had consistent or fairly consistent shining moments, the dazzling moments.
Yeah, he had a fucking shocking start to the season, like absolutely shocking. But he was a rookie, supposed to, right? But I think now this season, Marini's going to be on the 22 again. Bezzecchi's going to be on the 22. So it's level machinery. There's no Bezzecchi will have to learn a little bit about the 22. But I think that's actually going to be the 22.5. Let's just be fair.
Yeah.
So there's be slight learnings for both. And like realistically, Marini has to beat Bezzecchi to keep a seat. Has to. If he doesn't, I think it's game over. Like.
Yeah.
Now saying that, the other side of the coin could be
Rossi's got to keep him there.
the other side of that, like I do believe that Bezzecchi is a shoe-in for Pramac. So if it does happen, he goes to Pramac, Vietti will come into the VR 46 team, or maybe Morbidelli.
Yeah.
Do you know?
Morbidelli, I don't know about Morbidelli. I think his day's done. I think he's heading that World Superbike trail.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, maybe. It's possible, but I don't know. I don't see a VR46 Academy going in there, a rider going in there just yet. Might do. That level of VR46 rider, because there's some in the World Super Sport already. I just know. I just think the VR46 thing, like I think for me when I look at it, I think Marini will outscore Bezzecchi, because Bezzecchi is really good at flash in the pans, do you know what I mean? But he's not consistent, and I don't expect a rookie to be fully consistent in year 2. But once Marini got, and you can see it in the results, once Marini got used to the 22, he was consistent.
You got this backwards. Marini, or Bezzecchi was the one with the
Bezzecchi crashed 7 or 8, 6 times, 5 times.
He's the fast. Bezzecchi was the one with the fast one. Marini's
Bezzecchi.
VR46's brother. This is Rossi's brother.
Yeah.
Right.
Marini finished 12th last year.
Yeah, and Bezzecchi's the one they went on went to go to.
Bezzecchi finished 14th.
Who am I thinking of? They're going to the I'm getting really lost. Who's going to the Shining Star in? I got a different rider. Guys, I'm sorry.
Yeah. No, Bezzecchi finished. He finished 14th, I think. In the was this 14th? Yeah, he was only 9 points behind Marini, but Marini had look, they both had a bad start to the season, being fair. But I think Marini has to. He's a good rider. Marini is a solid rider. He's a steady Eddie, right? He'll bring home the points. Right. So, I mean, he doesn't crash a lot. He's a world champion. So, he does. He is. There's no doubt in his skill, right? But
I thought Bezzecchi was the faster of the two, though. I thought he was.
He